All right, welcome back. This is the Q&A. And, hey, we're not going to talk just about that whole 180 and 90-day thing, although we definitely want to answer any questions about all of that, okay? So, hey, and look, we're going to answer any question whatsoever about Costa Rica. But, hey, if you in particular got questions about that whole 180 and 90-day thing, we definitely want to focus on that as well. But hey, look, I'm going to let we already got folks here. Welcome to today's live call. And hey, I'm going to let Rebecca talk to you because I see something I got to go take care of real quick. I'll be right back. Rebecca? Hey, this is my co-host Rebecca, and I'm Alan.
Hey, everybody. Okay, this is not normally my thing, so you're going to have to help me out by commenting, give me maybe some questions. But I do have kind of I had an experience with being stopped while I was driving. I hardly ever drive in Costa Rica. I'm always with Alan, and he's driving. But of course, when we've lived in different house sits, we were sometimes close to town, and in those cases I would just go to town by myself. And so that's what was happening. And I came into a police check, a traffic stop situation, and the officer was extremely nice. And he even, he looked at my driver's license, and he let me know. He said, your driver's license is about to expire, and in that case you're not going to be driving legally in the country. So he, gave me a heads up with that, which made me realize that they do look at that kind of thing and pay attention to it. So I was sure to make a trip back to the US and get my driver's license renewed, which is a funny thing. I don't know if it's like this all over the United States, but in Louisiana, like when we've been back, let's say I could tell, my license was going to expire within the next 8 months, and I knew I would not be going back to the U.S. within that 8 months. And I went into the DMV and tried to renew my license. They're like, you can't do it. You can only renew your driver's license, I think it was 3 months in advance. So that's not fun. And also you had to have proof of like where you live to be able to renew your license, which caused an issue for us because we had sold our house. We really didn't have what we could call a residence. And so we had a place that we would get our mail. And so we had to do some quick getting of mailbox and things like that. So there's all kinds of hidden issues, minor things that have to be taken care of, and sometimes a little more serious. But from not having done research, things that we were not expecting to have to deal with, we were just coming to Costa Rica, and we were so not realizing all those different little things. Let's see. John is saying something. Okay. I didn't hear all of this on John's comment, what he's talking about, but I'll put it on the screen because you guys were probably paying attention, knowing what was going on. But so I'll just leave it up there for whoever wants to read it, whoever heard the whole thing. So because I'm not aware of what was going on. I had stepped away at that time. But let's see, Northern High says, was kind of funny, though. I'm not sure what you're referring to. So, but, Alan just had this experience, and I know we're talking about the 180 days, which we were very excited about and very aware that the drivers, the transistor police were not in line with the immigration thing, and it actually touched us. So it wasn't, but it doesn't necessarily happen like that all over the place. It might be 1 out of 100, That's the instance. And what Michael said was very true, what he pointed out and what we have said before. There's just no consistency. And that's part of the stress. That's part of the stress in when you stamp out by just going across the border to Panama or to Nicaragua, because you just don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if the officer had a bad day. Of course, it's like that anywhere, I suppose. So, but I see Alan is coming back. So, oh, I see what Northern High is saying. It was funny that Michael took the they as a pronoun.
Right.
Okay. So
Yeah.
John was explaining his reference.
He was talking about the alumni or they.
The Illuminati, not the
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So anyway, but he was kind of right. Rebecca has always said that I'm an alien, and we always kind of make fun that the mother ship is coming down to because I'm just going all the time, and so John might be right. I might just be a clone. They may have replaced me when that buffered.
We may all be clones.
We're not real. So hey, okay. So hey, that would be a good way to spur Michael on. Hey, we won't tell Michael that you said that, but we.
You better not poke too much. You have your own triggers. So we all got triggers. So, but I was explaining to the people that are on right now that you remember when we were staying. I don't drive very much, but like when we have stayed close to town, I go by myself. I go get groceries and so forth. Well, for the first 2 years, we only had a motorcycle, and my feet won't touch the ground, so he always had to drive, or I walked wherever we went. And then when we got a car, it's so dangerous driving. The reflexes have to be so quick because there are no shoulders on a lot of the roads. The bicyclist on the side of the roads, the families pushing the baby carriage on the side of the road. I have night.
You don't know when a cow is going to walk out onto the road, right?
Whatever. Even the dogs sleep on the road, and you kind of have to slow down and give them a chance to stretch and get off the road. They even take their time. So anyway, that's all the reasons that I have no problem letting Alan drive, because his reflexes are a lot quicker than mine. I kind of go and then try to react. Yeah. So whereas he reacted before I can even get it out.
So wouldn't you agree that in all of Costa Rica, in my opinion, the most dangerous, because there's a lot of dangerous things in Costa Rica. People are thinking snakes and spiders, but really the most dangerous thing in Costa Rica is the driving.
Yeah, I mean, this spider bite did not kill me. It just disfigured me. I'm probably gonna have plastic surgery because it's not healing. But the driving. So that's why I was explaining why I hardly ever drive. But when we've lived close to town, I go by myself and get groceries or whatever. So we were living in Estorils, and I was coming back, and I was telling about the traffic stop that the cop was very nice.
Yeah, I mean,
he didn't try to get a bribe or anything like that. And he didn't get my license. We're in windy season.
Yes, indeed. The wind is blowing. So, it's important, as we talked, and I'm sure probably everyone knew as we were talking about that whole 180-day thing. I'm hoping that pretty soon that they will, because they actually have enacted, or they actually have started the process to do that whole 90-day, to convert that 90-day thing to 180. But, Rebecca brought up a really good point earlier this morning when we were talking about all this that I completely forgot to mention in the Odd Couple podcast. But she was saying, remember that during the pandemic, there was a time whenever we didn't have to stamp out, okay? Because of safety precautions, all of that stuff, you didn't have to stamp out. However, even though you didn't have to stamp out, you could still get a ticket because you were driving over 90 days. Now, come on, people. Does that make any sense at all?
Yeah, that was ridiculous. We had no choice. We could not stamp out, yet we had to be afraid that we would get stopped.
And some
Which-
knucklehead could have given us a
Yeah.
60,000 krona ticket, pulled our plates for having driving illegally when you could not even
Yeah,
step
because
out.
we've had this discussion about the 180. We're like, surely the cop, you know, if a police officer stops you, he knows about the law and realizes it's just in transition. It hadn't made it to the
It just hadn't made the final approval, because they are actually working on it. They've already written the law. It's already gotten the first signature, but I think it has to get a second signature. And then it will be that whole scenario where, okay, you get 180 days and you don't even have to worry about driving because you can drive for 180 days. It just hasn't happened yet. That's just part of the whole, you know, you really have to understand it when you come to Costa Rica, the red tape, the whole everything in Costa Rica moves very, very slow. And the whole point in bringing up the pandemic, right? You could still get a ticket. Now, the whole pandemic was just about over when they finally said, okay, now you don't have to worry about, you know, stepping out because you know, now we agree that you can drive legally because of the pandemic. And it was just about over. See, so that just really makes no sense. But you have to understand that there's a lot of things that don't make sense in Costa Rica. That's not a reason to not come. You know, the reason that we came here was because, hey, we enjoy the beauty, the mountains, the 365 days a year that we can grow our own stuff, that we can enjoy life. So it's understanding that, hey, this is a different country. It is still developing. There's still, it's what I call, well, I got this Tico who's my best friend here in Costa Rica, and he says it all the time. He says, unfortunately, Costa Rica still has a whole lot of third world thinking. They don't, you know, Rebecca calls me a chess player. Okay, she's more of a checkers player. I'm a chess player. I'm always thinking 3, 4, 5 moves in advance. Costa Ricans aren't thinking into the future. They're driving down the road. They get a text message. They will stop their car in the middle of the highway to answer the text. They're not thinking about the 3 vehicles that are behind them, and they're not thinking about the accident that's going to cause. Okay. Now, are they doing this to be mean or to make me mad? No. They just don't think that way.
Yeah, not all.
Yeah.
I'm famous for saying that, but it's true. It's not all people, but there is a large percentage of, you know, if we drive an hour, chances are we're going to meet somebody that is come across a car that is stopped in the road instead of pulling off of the road. I mean, a major highway. We're not talking about some country road. We're talking about the main highway.
Yeah.
Blocking one of the lanes of traffic.
Yeah. And, you know, it's kind of like Doug is saying right here, you know, it's part of, hey, while, you know, he's got friends, they probably have 180 days, but they're flying to Panama because they have to renew the right to drive in Costa Rica. So it's just part of being here. Jan asked a quick question here and says, Michael's not here. Well, Michael's never here on the Q&A. Very, very busy with his travel business. Okay. And hey, you know, while I'm always busy working on the house and stuff like that, it gives us an opportunity to do the whole Q&A, answer any questions, because Michael and I, we get on that podcast and we're talking about so much stuff. We often don't get a chance to answer questions, and we know you've got questions, and hey, hopefully we have answers. So Michael's almost never here during the Q&A. Okay. So that kind of gives you an idea of what's going on there.
And we love Michael, so don't pick at him too much. Don't get him.
I like to pick at Michael. Now, Rebecca,
Well,
she's
why I would never make it on a podcast or anything like that. No, I can't play like that.
But Mike and I
don't like to hurt someone's feelings. I don't like mine to get, you know, I just don't play like that.
But, you know, of course, you know, Michael and I, we're not mean to each other. We're just having a good old time. We're having fun and we're just enjoying. But, you know, the whole reason that Michael and I actually do this is that, I mean, it all goes back to, you know, it's definitely not about money, because we don't make any money on this, but we do it to help save you money, right? Because if we can help you to keep from losing the thousands upon thousands of dollars that Michael and I have lost, then we felt like we've recuperated some of that, because we're actually helping to save you money. And that's
and I do get very upset. That's one thing that really upsets me, is when something, no fault of my own, costs me a lot of money.
Yeah.
Something and
well, it's like this
that.
It's like, obviously I got a ticket, no fault of my own. Okay, now had this guy now
well, technically it is still against the law to drive, because the law is
but not in my case, because I'm a digital nomad visa.
Yeah, that's right.
In my case, I was legally driving. Okay,
right.
So
but somebody like in my situation, I can't expect an officer to, it would be grace if they were to excuse it, because
and you're
technically not the law yet.
Yeah,
so,
in Rebecca's case, if she was driving, she is over her 90 days, even though she has 180 days. So technically for her, she would be driving illegally. Okay, but she's not driving. And so, of course, what's good for her is that, hey, you know what? As long as she's not driving, I'm driving, we're safe. But obviously we're not safe anymore, because they just simply don't care. And that was the situation here. Okay. So obviously Jan was the Odd Couple podcast today. So no, the Odd Couple podcast has not been nixed. It was put off for a week, and it was really no big deal. Michael and I was working out some technical dilemmas on trying to get this whole YouTube channel going. So we just had to make some changes going on. And so the Odd Couple has its own channel, and you want to make sure that you subscribe to it. Help us, because it'll make doing these Q&As a lot easier, because then we can just redirect you and you can come right over. It just makes it a whole lot easier. So, hey, and there's a lot of people answering her questions, so thanks so much for helping out, folks, okay? So questions, comments, inputs. So how has anybody, I'm kind of curious, have any of you guys been stopped and gotten a ticket because you were over your 90 days? Or am I lucky enough to be the first? Now Michael does have, because he was saying, Alan, you just attract, it's your aura. I don't think it was in this case. I was really very calm in this case, but I can understand some of what he is saying, because I have seen it myself where, hey, there's people that I remember being at, getting off the plane, we were at immigration, and this young kid, he just had this aura, he had an attitude about him, and so guess what? The immigration was giving him a hard time. And I was like, dude, you're not going to win this battle. I mean, you don't have any rights whatsoever. So it is extremely, extremely important. And like Michael said, if you get stopped by the police, man, act stupid, act like you should be getting a crazy check. Just be as nice and as friendly and do whatever you can to get out of it. Okay. And you know what? Yeah, if you don't offer a bribe, you're not going to get out it in many cases. Now, you know what? I've been very fortunate. I did get out. However, it's, stuff happens, but, it doesn't matter. Now Pete is assuming something. Pete's like, well, why stay in Costa Rica as you hate it? Well, what makes you think I hate it? I love Costa Rica. See, I don't hate Costa Rica. Now, what I hate is I hate people like that transistor cop. That transistor cop was wrong in every single way, okay? I love Costa Rica. The reason we came to Costa Rica, we didn't come here for the people. Come on. Does anybody say, hey, baby, let's move to Costa Rica because the people are so nice? That don't happen, okay?
I considered that.
Well,
I don't want to go somewhere where people are not nice. And the people that we're talking about are far and few between. It's not, you meet a whole lot more.
Well, there are. I agree. Hey, I want to go somewhere where the people are friendlier. It's like, I wouldn't want to move to New York and New Jersey where the people are mean to each other all the time, right? So, but nobody really goes to Costa Rica because, hey, I want to get in the middle of a bunch of Ticos. No, they go to Costa Rica because they still have their freedoms. The weather is beautiful. The scenery is beautiful. We came to Costa Rica because we just stinking enjoy Costa Rica. Now, Pete says, well, hey, most people love tacos. Yeah, me too. I love tacos, but not everybody likes Ticos.
He probably
That was a typo. I know that's what he means. Hey, and now here, Pete, I'll push back on this, okay? You will see all over the internet of how everybody loves the Ticos, love the Ticos, love the Ticos, love the Ticos, okay? And so, no, Pete, you're wrong, okay? Not most everybody loves Ticos except me. Every traveler, every tourist loves Ticos. Well, why? If you go to a tourist industries, Ticos are going to be overly friendly because they want to get a tip. They want to get a tip. That's anywhere in the world, okay? But whenever you begin to live in Costa Rica. So, Pete, how long have you lived in Costa Rica? Or are you still just a tourist, okay? So you see, and we say this all the time. Living in Costa Rica, you're going to find it completely different than being a tourist. When you come to Costa Rica and you're a tourist, well, my goodness, everything about Costa Rica, you fall in love and you just love Costa Rica. And, you know, you want to buy property, and then people make the mistake of all that good stuff. So, hey, I know where this is going right here. And so Pete's asking a question, are you allowed to work? So you know what? I know who you are, Pete. I'm not going to entertain you anymore. No, guess what? When you're in Costa Rica, tourist cannot work. If you're a resident, guess what? You can work. If you're a digital nomad, yes, you can work. So guess what? Am I legal to work in this country? Guess what? There's a ton of people who start their own business, and yes, they can work in Costa Rica in their business. So, hey, we all know who you are, Pete. You're just that guy that wants to cause a lot of problems. So, you know, I'm not going to entertain you anymore. Matter of fact, I'm just going to throw you off. All right. So, hey, now James says that James says, I've been speeding to a checkpoint and would turn my blinker, pull in the map, and start asking directions and asking where the good sodas are, and they just want me to leave. I'm going to have to try that, James. That is real good. See there? That's all right. So I just hey, I'm gonna just say this publicly. I just banned Pete. You know, our retreats have become, our relocation retreats have been making waves, and we are sold out. Well, Pete is one of our competition, and so he likes to come and he likes to give me a hard time on my channel because of our retreats. So that's who Pete was. Pete was just trying to start drama. He was trying to start trouble. So I just banned old Pete and threw him off. And of course, he just wanted to call me a coward. Well, Pete's a coward. You know, Pete just wants to create problems because we're doing such an awesome job of helping people on our relocation retreats. So, hey, John had a good comment for Rebecca. I just really got to throw that up. It says, hey, Rebecca, don't worry. Rebecca, that's kind of what real men friends do. We relentless picking on each other and for exposed flaws, but we'll go to war for each other at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, I'm glad Ellen and Michael are able to have that camaraderie, that chemistry, you know, where so that's good for them.
Yeah. And hey, Northern, you're right. Pretty clear. He's a troll. And that was a good decision. So thanks a lot, Northern. Yeah, he was definitely a troll, and he was just looking to create problems. Unfortunately, you know, when you get on YouTube, you got to have some thick skin, and you got to know, you just can't let people like that bother you because they will just create problems for you. If you let them say, I just ban him. He won't be back, you know. So anyway.
Yeah. And like I said, Alan has to deal with, you know, it's not just Ticos, it would be anywhere, but it really goes against his grain because of the, you know, always being late and not thinking ahead, you know, all those things that he tends to do. You know, he has to deal with that a lot because of getting materials and supplies and trying to find labor, you know, trying to find people to work and things like that. So I don't have to deal with all of that. I just go to the grocery store and say hi to everybody and enjoy. And so, you know, that's a whole different ball game. You know, I don't ever have to worry about going in, get the car fixed. He has to deal with that, try to figure out if, you know, what they're doing. And So that's a whole different experience, kind of similar to a tourist coming is going to have an entirely different experience in the tourist areas and with customer service and so forth versus somebody,
Well, Rebecca,
trying to live here.
I'm glad you're bringing that out, because I mean, it's so important to realize that when you're a tourist here, I mean, you're here for a couple of weeks and really you're doing all that tourist fun stuff. And look, you're meeting the nicest ticos in the world, because it's like I said, they want a tip. Okay. And so,
well,
yeah.
Not just for tips. I mean, that's their job. It's customer service
Well,
is their job.
True. Okay. So, and so it is different. But when you're here as a tourist, you're not meeting the normal ticos. And so when you come over here to live, it's totally different. Okay.
But I have to say, most ticos I've met, when it's not dealing with what he has to deal with just on the daily basis, are wonderful, loving, fun. There's a reason they live long. There's a reason they're not stressed out. The things that stress out Alan don't stress out most ticos. Even for myself, if two people are taking a long time talking at the register, even though they're finished checking out, or they're blocking the aisle in the grocery store because they're talking, that doesn't bother me that much. I look at it as, okay, well, they're chit-chatting, that's very nice, and I just wait and I'm patient, and stuff like that. What the things that do bother me, that get me kind of upset, is when it's dangerous, like stopping, in the road to talk or check their text messages. They don't pull off, because then that causes a problem with you're coming up on them and cars are coming up on you. Nobody is expecting to have to come to a dead stop
around the corner, and it's dangerous,
and
right?
It's very understandable. I have a lot of understanding when there is no shoulder, but there's no reason for it when there is a parking lot or a driveway or whatever. But it's just the culture. They think nothing of blocking, of just stopping in the road.
I really think that some of the culture that, they still have this mindset of horse and buggy days. It's like, okay, just stop in the middle of the road because the horse and buggy behind me, he's barely moving. You're not going to get hit, or there's not that much traffic, because we have lived in a lot of rural areas where there's not a lot of traffic. So it's not uncommon at all that two cars will be parked there side by side talking, because there's not a lot of traffic, but it does happen a whole lot here in Costa Rica. And so you just really have to chill. And that's why at the beginning of the year, I'm like, I'm going to chill. I know it's not intentional. They're not trying to give me a hard time. Let me bring up something real quick here that Doug said. Hey, wow, the Q&A wasn't popping up, just found it. And hey, that's part of my fault, I think, because I didn't create the Q&A until I think last night. And I try to create these earlier, but also because the Q&A is on a whole nother channel, you just have to remember that when it's time for the Q&A, go find it on my channel. But I did put the link in the chat box. I don't know how difficult it is for you guys to actually I don't think you can click on it and go to it, but I think you have to copy and paste it. And so a lot of people here were saying that they were not getting notifications. And so, but what would help greatly, and if you guys have not already subscribed to the new Odd Couple Costa Rica channel, be sure to subscribe to it, because that will help you. And then, of course, that notifications things can sometimes work and sometimes not work. And of course, you have to actually be signed into your YouTube account. You have to, it's not like you get an email. You have to actually notice a little notification up there with the number on it. You have to actually click on it to see it. So yeah, it is quite the thing. It is a challenge. So, hey, all we can do is apologize on that, right? But hey, Northern Heights actually put up something that might be a problem, might be helpful. You may have your YouTube notifications off in your phone, and that would also block it, okay? Hey, now, Doug brought up a very good point here. It says that, look, what customer service? Ticos don't usually mix. Customer service, Ticos aren't trained in customer service like the United States. I have yet to find any place, with the exception in some tourist areas, where there's more customer service than the norm. Most places, Ticos don't know anything about customer service. It's just not a part of their DNA.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. We're just explaining that if you're coming from the United States, don't expect that. Don't expect that same level, because if you do, you're going to be disappointed. Now we have gone to we went to a restaurant last week in San Isidro that had great customer service. Continually come by, ask if we need a refill of our water. Do we need anything else? I always say it's to their disadvantage because they'll have desserts on the menu. And, in the US, when you finish your meal, usually the waitress or waiter will ask you, would you like a dessert? Well, you never really get asked that. And so they probably
They miss out on
you can order it, but it's funny. That's a technique in the US that kind of, because people maybe wouldn't have.
They're not,
do you want to get dessert between each other necessarily? But when you're asked the question, then you're like, you know what? Yeah, I kind of forgot about it.
Yeah,
let's get one.
Whenever I owned a grocery store, come on, anybody that knows about sales, when you're at the grocery store, someone comes in, he's buying a soda pop or he's buying a loaf of bread. I'm like, hey, do you need any milk? Oh man, yeah, I'm glad you said that. And he goes and gets some milk. I made a few more bucks. Okay, so it's anytime you're at a restaurant. I mean, come on, you go to McDonald's. I want a hamburger. I want a Big Mac. Would you like fries? Would you like a super size? It's all in sales, but Ticos aren't taught that. They don't know that. And it's to their detriment because they're losing tons and tons of money because they're not offering you more. Matter of fact, you get one cup of water and it's like, get out of here. I'm done serving you, right? They're not trying to make more money. But hey, Doug is absolutely correct here. He says Ticos are discourteous when driving all around. Absolutely. I mean, I don't know how many times I've tried to pass somebody and that whole, you ought to be so many feet away. Ticos they are driving, they're on each other's butt. And you try to pass. I've actually had Ticos try to keep me from passing, try to keep me from getting in. Okay. And I'm like, guess what? My car is a lot older than yours, and I ain't scared to knock you off the road, buddy. So you're either going to let me in or we're going to have a wreck right here because I am passing legally and I am getting in. And so I'm telling you, Ticos, Ticos are never. Ticos are, did I say never in a hurry until they get behind the wheel of a car. And then the race is on, boy. It's like, that's the only time they're fast. And they want to see how fast they can go. And it's a game. It's like, don't pass me because you try to pass the Tico. All of a sudden, he floors it, man. And it's like, so that's just something you need to know. Okay. Hey, I'd kind of like to know. He says, John says, yeah, Alan, I click on your videos a day ahead more times than I can count on. Huh. Okay. So not quite sure what he means by that. Maybe he was looking for the Q&A or something. I'm not sure. But hey, maybe you can clarify. But hey, and someone says, JR, this is a good comment, JR put here. Come on now, show me. JR says, as a tourist, your mindset is a vacation mindset. When you live here, your mindset is different, but it's easier on you if you go with the flow. Man, JR, you 100% right. And that's what we try to encourage people because, hey, I talk about all kind of different things about Costa Rica. And, I give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I used
mostly the ugly.
Okay. Yeah, I do give a lot of ugly. And so a lot of people think I hate Costa Rica. No, I don't hate Costa Rica, but I want you to be well educated. I want you to be, as Rebecca coined this phrase for me. She says, you need to tell them, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you. So yeah, I do give you a lot of ugly. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you. So if I can prepare you for the fact that, yeah, if you try to pass, they might not let you in. If I try to educate you that you're going to get trolls on your channel, if I try to educate you that all these different things happen, yeah, I don't like it. But if you are prepared, well, then when you do decide to come here, you're like, you know what? Alan said we're going to run into this. And so here's how maybe we can avoid it, or here's how we can handle that situation. You really do need to get into the flow. And I used to and I say I used to get really excited. I used to get really excited, and I'm saying now, okay, I'm not going to get too excited. I'm just going to try to be chill, try to be, I'm not letting that stuff bother me as it used to. It used to really bother me a whole lot. Okay. But yeah,
or just you're sharing your experience. Like I said, my experience is different. I love the Tico people, but I genuinely, just have different experiences. But a lot of the stuff is generalizations. It's not all, and I say that all the time. Just like in marriages, if you go to any kind of marriage counseling, they tell you not to use absolute words. Don't say you do this all the time or you do this every time. So these are generalizations. I've never been to New York, but from what I've heard from other people, I would be terrified to try to drive in New York. I would not even attempt to drive in New York from what I've heard. Okay. So, if I had to plan a trip to New York, I would not be renting a car. I would be planning to take a walk or to take public transportation, from that generalization. All I've heard about Louisiana is the people are so nice and it's always a party and, and all that. Generally, that's true. But hey, they got some mean people in Louisiana. They got, people that are not nice to animals, people that it's not a party. So I guess my point and what I'm saying is these are generalizations.
For the most part, there are generalizations. There are exceptions to every rule. Now, I do like what Pamela says here, because we were talking about driving. And she says, man, I just love how they will put a limb or maybe a stone or a couple of sticks in the road to let you know they're having car trouble. Even though everybody's supposed to have a triangle in their car, not everybody has one, right? But it's always right behind the car, never around the curve so that you're prepared. So, yeah. Now, and look, Pamela, let's take this a step further. They put that tree branch behind their car to let you know they're having troubles. Then after they drive off, the tree limb is still in the road. They haven't even moved it.
So you come to the limb expecting there to be trouble, and
you're expecting the car to be there, right?
But that's an excellent example. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. That's their culture. That's how they were taught. They, that's how they do. It is very different from where we come from. You would never do that. You could get in big trouble if you do that. You're required to, use the cone or be safe. So that is something that we've mentioned. Is not to make fun necessarily, but it's something we mentioned because of how it affected us when we came upon it. We're like, what is this branch in the road? Not anticipating that there was going to be a broken down car with a man laying half in the road and half under his car.
Trying to fix it, right? His leg's going to get run over.
Right. And we're like, oh my gosh, was that supposed to be our warning? Because, that's not our custom, Now, I mean, it only takes one big branch in the road and
then we slow down, right?
You know it from then on. But,
And it wouldn't be so bad that they stop in the middle of the road. It's kind of like Rebecca said, because the majority of Costa Rica doesn't have shoulders. However, they will stop in the middle of the road when they could have gone 10 more feet and there was a driveway where they could have pulled off. I don't care how bad your car is broke down. You can normally limp along a little ways to get off the road so that it's safer for everybody. It's safer for the guy that's, got his legs sticking out of the car and won't get run over. But I really think that most Ticos are not thinking that it's dangerous. They're not thinking that.
That's like pedestrians. How many times, I said that when we were coming back the other night, I'm like, does that guy think that we can see him? Because they're wearing all dark clothes, no flashlight, and they can see us. So I'm wondering if they think we can see them. But when you have the headlights and they're up against a black silhouette, I can't see them. I hate to drive at night here. Because people walk in the road thinking that you can see them. I mean, I've even come across teenagers sitting on the side of the road,
right?
Yeah, they're checking their phones or whatever they're doing, playing a game, whatever. They're sitting on the road. No, I'm not exaggerating this at all. And like there were 3 guys sitting on the side of the road. One of them was laying in the road. I guess he got tired of sitting up, so he's laid back. I almost did not see them. I
Yeah.
mean, really, between the lights and they were dark and oh my gosh, it's
Yeah.
scary.
I mean, Doug is saying some days you feel like you're in a video game and you get points for avoiding stupidity. Doug, I'm glad you said it. I thought it,
Yeah.
you said it.
And what's funny is we say these things, and I'm sure people who have not lived here don't really, it makes me feel good when people like Doug and what Emery is saying, because they apparently live here and have
Well, yeah, but let's pause a moment. See, this guy that I threw off a while ago is giving me a hard time, and I'm only saying the same thing that everybody else is saying, okay? But of course, this is just a troll that wanted to give us a hard time, okay? Because we're creating Waze. Yeah. But I mean, guys, it's absolutely right.
Put Emery's,
look, Emery up here. True, Emery's like, I've driven from Fortuna to San Jose before, and people will pass on curves going up a hill or down the mountain with no guardrails. I just always wait for a good straightaway before trying anything. And you're right. I mean, here they will not think twice about, they will just pull. Now look, we try to say driving is the most dangerous thing. Maybe I should have, I'm going to try to change the thumbnail here to driving in Costa Rica. Because driving can be extremely dangerous. And look, if you can avoid driving at night at all costs, okay? Because, you don't have as many reflectors. You don't have the stripes in so many places. So it is dangerous. But ticos won't think twice about going around the curve, up the hill to pass you, okay? And, it is extremely, extremely dangerous. So you do have to be very, very careful, right?
And there are worse driving situations. I mean, in other countries, there are people that just will run you over. But this is just because of the terrain, because of all the curves, all the mountains, just the road from San Isidro down to Dominical is one curve after the other. You really can't see what's coming. How many times have we almost been hit because cars are taking more than their side of the road? So I'm surprised there's not more accidents, but I think it's partly because of the terrain, because you can't go that fast. You have to pretty much have a straightaway to go really fast. Yeah. It seems like they're going fast when they're passing you in a straightaway, but
and take a look at, Sam has a point here. He says it's all about perspective and too many generalizations from a gringo standpoint. Now, there are a lot of generalizations from a gringo standpoint. He says some roads in Costa Rica are winding and in the mountains. Nobody there or in the USA has safety cones in their truck. Well, no one has safety cones in their truck.
No, but big trucks do.
Big trucks do have safety cones, yeah. And everybody in Costa Rica is required to have that safety kit in their vehicle, okay, which has a triangle in it. Then it has a couple of triangles, okay. And so while you do have a point there, okay, in the United States, in other countries, most roads have a shoulder. In the United States, I don't know anybody except the one oddball who is not thinking that's going to stop in the middle of the road. Almost nobody in the United States is going to stop in the middle of the road. In Costa Rica, I realize almost everybody stops in the middle of the road. Not everybody. That's a generalization, like you say, but there are people that will go a little bit further and try really hard to get off the road, okay? But, Doug brought up a very, very good point. Right here, Doug said, hey, my stepson got a ticket for not having his safety kit in his vehicle. That was a $600 fine. So, guys, it is important that you know that you need to have that safety kit in your vehicle, because if you meet a guy and he wants to be a rear end and he wants to give you a ticket, he can absolutely give you a ticket. Yeah, so
that's why ours has been stolen out of our car.
Yeah, ours has been stolen a couple of times because they don't have the money. It's not that expensive to buy that safety kit. It has your fire extinguisher, has jumper cables, it has a couple of triangles. So hey, Saeem, yeah, you're true, there are some generalizations there, but you have to understand that Costa Rica is completely different. It is a developing country. They are making some improvements, okay, but driving in Costa Rica is very dangerous.
Well, most of the roads have no shoulder.
Yeah, and it's nothing at all like the United States.
And part of it is because of the terrain. There's no room for a shoulder. Like on the side of the road is the cliff, so I guess they could take a heavy equipment and widen it, like chop down part of the mountain and widen the road. But anyway, most of the roads just don't have the shoulders. I mean, let's face it, that's how it was in the United States 30 years ago when we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't shoulders. They called substandard roads. So there were warning signs for substandard roads. But over time, over the past 30, 40 years, they have gradually improved, almost all the highways. That's just what we're used to.
Now,
we're not saying it's an absolute, but it's what we're used to.
Now, JR asked,
if you have car trouble,
you
may not be able to pull off, and you need to have some kind of way to warn the traffic coming behind you that you were dead stop in the road with a flat tire.
Yeah, that's why it's extremely important to have a safety kit. I mean, in most cases, you can cripple along and go down the road to a safer place. But there are a lot of stretches where, hey, maybe you can't cripple along that far and you don't have any choice but to be in the road. At least cripple along to where you're not right behind a curve. And so JR says, well, what do you need in this safety kit? Hey, JR, you can go to almost any auto mechanics store. And like Gigantica, you can even go into Walmart and you can go buy the safety kit. The safety kit has everything you need in it. And in most cases, it's going to have a fire extinguisher in there. It's going to have jumper cables. It's going to have a couple of triangles in there, a couple of other little odds and ends. So it's very important that you have that safety kit, especially in Costa Rica, okay? Because it is, Doug agrees, his stepson's safety kit was stolen. Our car doesn't lock. It's an old car. Okay. So yeah, you got to have it. Now, someone did bring up a good point here. It says, why do people walk with the traffic? Here we usually walk against it. You're absolutely right. I always walk against the traffic. I want to see what's coming to me. But, I'm telling you, Ticos they don't think that way. Nobody's trained them to walk against the traffic. Nobody's trained them have a flashlight. Nobody's trained them wear a reflective stripe. And maybe they just don't care. I don't know. I'm not saying anything negative against Ticos. I'm just saying that's the norm. Okay. Not talking bad against Ticos. I'm just saying, so I'm not dogging Ticos and not banging on them. I'm just telling you the norm is that Ticos don't think twice about pushing a baby carriage down the street. And you can't blame them. There are no shoulders. Where else? There's no sidewalks, no shoulders. Where else are they going to? How do they get from neighbor's house to neighbor's house but walk right down the street? And then some of them
what they have to do.
They don't have a choice.
But they don't have to walk with no flashlight.
That's right. They could have a flashlight. And they don't have to
reflector.
walk three side by side. It's like, come on, people, kind of walk, behind each other. But no, we're just going to walk 3 down the highway. Really? You're asking to get run over. Okay.
Yeah. And there's not a lot of the roads don't have street lights. You go a long way where the road is not lit and the side of the road doesn't have a stripe. And even the middle doesn't have reflectors or paint sometimes. So that is part of why it's difficult to see. And if you have headlights coming at you, that can disrupt what you can see, right there. So right in front of you. So at least it does for me. Yeah.
Now, I wasn't aware of this. Doug says it is law in the U.S. to walk in the direction of traffic, not against it. I wasn't aware of that. Hey, double check on that, Doug. And I'd like for you to send me a link on that. I do know that the law in the United States does say that if you are on anything with wheels, okay, so if you're on a bicycle, you have to always go with the flow of traffic, okay? I don't know about as far as walking, but I would like to know that, Doug, for certain. I'd like a link to that so that I could be aware of that. But I know that I have always, as a runner my entire life, I always run against the traffic. And whenever I'm nighttime, I always got a reflector and I've always got a flashlight. And I'm always running against the traffic because I want to see you know, if you're going with the flow of traffic, then you can't see that knucklehead behind you who's texting, and then he's running you over because he's not paying attention. So they just gonna have to put me in jail, you know, if that's the case. But I would like to know. Thanks for sharing that, Doug. Okay. See, so Northern Heights is saying that and it's not in Wisconsin. And of course, obviously, different states can create some of their own laws depending on what jurisdiction, you know, they have. And so Northern Heights is saying in Wisconsin, it's opposite. With bikes, they have to go with the flow of traffic, but people can walk against it. I'm guessing that's what you're saying, Northern Heights. Okay. Now, see, Emery is saying that I think Doug is right. When I was in high school, our entire cross-country team got stopped by a cop and told we had to run against the traffic. So, hey, Emery is saying that they were told to run against the traffic and not with the traffic. Okay. So, hey, that's an interesting concept here. Okay.
Regardless, if it's nighttime, carry a light.
Yes.
Or a reflector.
Whatever you do, if you're at nighttime, use a little bit of sense, right?
That the drivers see you.
Yeah, it is something. I'm not sure what he's saying. He says maybe people in Heredia are superior, as the local folks, the local folklore is they walk in mediana calle. In other words, they walk in the middle of the road. Yeah. Well, if they walk in the middle of the road, maybe they are superior. That's funny. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. So anyway, hey, you know, it is very, very, Costa Rica is a very, very different lifestyle. Rebecca and I have been here for 10 years. Absolutely love Costa Rica. I don't think anything could happen to me that would make me leave Costa Rica. While I give you the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Really want to say that?
Oh yeah, I don't know. I should rewind. I better not say that because then I'll be challenged. Like I was challenged that I'm just not going to let anything bother me. And then doggone it, if I get a tico who gives me a ticket when I was 100% in the right. Oh,
you
well.
Know what? No, I think he probably saw your videos.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm famous. He saw my videos like, here comes that guy. He hates ticos.
Recognized your car, recognized Nikki in the front seat.
Probably so. Yeah, it's probably so. John Miller says something or other about HV's PT belts or a dime a dozen now. You'll got any armor surplus stores down in Costa Rica? There are a few army surplus stores. I've only found one in San Jose, but boy, the stuff is way more expensive there than anywhere else. You know, I'm guessing maybe they have to import that stuff in down there, you know, because obviously there's no military here. And so you can go to an armor surplus store. I don't know where they're getting their stuff. What you grinning at?
I'm grinning at Pam's comment. It's infamous.
Hey, man, I never said I was, I'm famous or infamous. I don't know which one.
You don't even know. Infamous is being known because of bad things versus.
Well, okay. Hey, I was not an English major and I don't claim to know everything, but I tell you what, I think I'm pretty infamous, Pam. But so would Michael be famous while I'm infamous?
I think so.
Oh, well. All right, Pamela, you're not helping.
But it's funny.
See there, y'all. Here's the women teaming up on me. All right, guys, let's go to war on the women. Let's go to war on the women.
That won't work. I'll just go into hiding.
Hey, look at what Jennifer says. We're moving there Tuesday. Woohoo! Let's give Jennifer some fireworks, man. She's moving to Costa Rica on Tuesday. That's awesome. Where are you going, Jennifer? What part of Costa Rica have you decided to settle into?
Yeah. And if you come across anything difficult, do what I do. I remind myself, I live in the most beautiful country in the whole world. So all that other stuff doesn't matter.
Hey, John has got a good point. Always go against the traffic. That way the cop has to turn around and chase you down. Head starts matter. That's right. Run, baby, run. Run, Forrest, run. Absolutely.
Northern High's been dodging cops for decades.
That's it. Yeah, you're right. Southern's going to keep it real. All right. Now, William says, hey, thinking about some property near Rio Frio and Gracia is a bit crowded. What do you think about over there? Haven't spent a lot of time there. Rebecca and I intentionally avoid where there's areas, there's a lot of expats. Yeah, so the one thing I can tell you is that if there's a lot of expats there, everything goes up. Property values go up, cost of living go up, everything go up where there are expats. So if you got plenty of money, hey, it might be nice. Okay. But if you're looking for more of a normal type of price as far as cost of living and all that, then try to get further away, get as far away from the expat community as you can.
I'm not familiar with that area as far as living, but apparently it must have some good qualities, something to offer, because a lot of people have settled there. So, sorry that can't help you out.
Yeah. Now, the Siam brings up a very good point. Okay. When you're living in Costa Rica, because there's not, he said he recently had an hour wait. He was on this route waiting for an accident to clear up. And it happens all the time. And it's true. If there's an accident in the road, the law is you can't move your vehicle. So you could be blocking the traffic, and you might wait 30 minutes before the transistor cop comes, and then he's got to look at it, examine it, get his whole take on it, all of that crap. So a long time before it moves. Now, here's a key thing. Get Waze, download Waze. That's W-A-Z-E. Download Waze, and if you download Waze, then you can look and you can find an alternate route. Now, that doesn't mean that alternate route's going to be blacktop. It's going to be gravel, boulders.
You might through the river.
That's right. But you might can find an alternate route. Okay, and that's what we always do. And I've found an alternate route and gone through 3 rivers, but I got around it. Okay.
But in some cases, like if you're going from San Isidro to San Jose or vice versa, that route, that mountain route, there's not a whole lot of roads that circumvent the main highway, because the highway is pretty much on a ridge for most of the way. Wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, a lot of the highways are right on the ridge, and there's really no room.
Yeah, there's not a lot of go arounds.
Yeah,
I mean, there are a few neighborhoods that will loop. That you could.
Yeah, that sometimes you're right. Sometimes there is no alternate route, but but sometimes you might. Waze. That's why Waze is the best app in the world, because Waze is user generated. You're like, I don't need Waze, I got Google, whatever. Well, Waze is user generated. So Waze maps their roads based on people who are logged into Waze. And so Waze will tell you where this little bitty cattle trail is that people are driving on, and you can find a way around. So look, Waze is free. Just get Waze, and I promise you're going to love it. Okay. Now, hey, I really like this. Doug went out of his way to look up that traffic law, and he says he looked up the walking in traffic. They must have changed things, because now it says walk facing the traffic. Decades ago, it was different, but hey, always wear reflective at night and use a flashlight. Hey, thanks, Doug. Man, you are cool. Doug is a devil dog. That's why he looked at it. He's a Marine just like I am. He went and looked that up. So, hey, that's cool stuff. Oh, look, and of course, William brings up a good point. Be very careful, because in sugarcane season, man, look, coffee season, you got trucks all in the road, and they're moving slow. So you got to be careful. And what's really good about Waze is Waze will show you on their map where the traffic is heavy because it's congested traffic. Maybe it is a sugarcane truck. Maybe. And so if you use Waze, it's going to help you to and look, and Northern Heights puts this out. Waze does a great job of spotting cops. So you have to understand, if Rebecca and I are driving and we see a cop, she can immediately put in there's a cop at this location, and Waze will tell you, hey, cop up ahead. So Waze is just an awesome tool to use.
Yeah, it'll even tell you if there's a breakdown, or a car in the road or something like that. Maybe other apps do that too, but and it'll give you the opportunity to say, is it still there? Like when you pass, you can say, no, it's been moved, and then it'll clear it. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah. Well, hey, folks, we've been here an hour already. Man, time flies just like this. And I love our Q&As. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hey, if you enjoy these Q&As and you're getting something out of it, give me a great big old 10, a big old thumbs up or something. Let me know if you are enjoying our Q&As. I would like to do these more often, but hey, I'm trying to remember who said it, but someone said, hey, man, you're good at getting your thumbnails up for the next week's, but your Q&A are a little lagging behind. Yeah, I'm sorry, guy. You nailed it. So I'm going to try to make sure to have those thumbnails for the Q&A up a week in advance as well, so that we can help you out. So, hey, matter of fact, I'm going to do that right now so that next week, because I know who our special guest is going to be next week. And I think there's going to be a lot of Q&A on it. So next week, I'll be sure to have Q&A so that we can help you. But hey, let me know, folks. Give me a big old thumbs up. Give me a big old 10. I hope you guys are enjoying these Q&As. This way we can drag Rebecca into the Q&A, and you can get the female perspective, because she always likes to say, oh, come on, Alan, it ain't every Tico. I'm like, yeah, it's not all of them, just 99 out of 100. That's all.
But that's the difference. If you expect out of 10, then that's becomes your
well, I like to
have to experience like 90%.
Yeah, well, and Rebecca is absolutely right. I deal with, so I'm dealing with Ticos on a daily basis, and it's important to get Rebecca's perspective and my perspective.
Your perspective is probably way more valuable to somebody because that is coming to live, because they are going to have to try to get their car repaired. They are going to have to try to find somebody, labor or, whatever, building materials. They are going to have to try to do those things. They're going to face the same type challenges, because those situations deal with that. Very few people coming to live here are not going to have to deal with it.
Right. I mean, you come here, you're going to have to deal with it. And it's not that I don't like Ticos. I like Ticos. My best friend here is a Tico, but he himself.
We have neighbors that we absolutely adore.
We got some awesome neighbors. And look, we just share our house like it's theirs. Okay. So I don't have a problem with Ticos, but you have to understand, if this exact stuff was happening in Louisiana, I'd be telling you the exact same thing. Okay.
Yeah. In fact, we could tell you. Notice that we're not there.
Yeah. And Jan is absolutely right. A woman's input matters. It's totally different.
Yeah, because you've never had to try to find a beautician that deals with light colored hair.
That's right. I can't tell you what it's like to have a baby in Costa Rica, and I don't think Michael can either. Even though the woke people will tell you that men can have a baby. I'm still waiting on Michael to have one. I'm still waiting on Michael to have a baby. All right, I'm closing out on that one. See you, folks. We'll have you next week. Hey, look, hey, real quick. Doug says, does your Starlink buffer every so often? Happens in Canada too.
Yeah,
it does. And I really think that's going to be a little issue for a while, because Starlink is constantly upgrading. I kind of wish they would push their upgrades out in the middle of the night. Okay. But I think when it's buffering, I can't tell you that, but that's what I don't know that 100%. But I really think that's what's happening.
A whole lot better than the other internet we had.
Yeah.
The other internet would go out for sometimes 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, and that doesn't seem like long unless you're on a meeting.
Yeah, or you're on a live. So while it does buffer every so often, it's nothing like the inconsistent Costa Rican internet that we had. Okay. So Starlink is, hey, you tell me, Doug, is Starlink way better than what you had or what you experienced with your Costa Rica internet? Big difference to me, and I find it way more dependable. Okay. Yeah. So, all righty, folks. And look, Jan agrees with me. She's like, all right, guys, good luck with that. I don't know. All right, we got to let you go. Yeah. Michael had a baby. I guess it'd be real cute. Hey, maybe we should encourage Michael to get pregnant. All right, I got to tell him about this. Y'all have a great one. We'll see you next week on the next Living in Costa Rica Q&A.